Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we're going to work on a bracelet using our April Bargain Bead Box. This is a pretty simple little bracelet, more stringing than anything, and I hope you're going to enjoy this. We'll turn down and get this started right now. I have this pile of beads here that we're going to use. These are all out of my stash. They're all my spacers that we're going to use. And then we're going to use the Butterscotch Imperial Topaz Soft Flex medium beading wire to bead these on. So these two pieces, which are supposed to be connectors, well, they're going to be connectors, but they're going to hold our wire. And then I have drilled holes in both ends for my clasp and chain. I think it's going to be a little bit too short to not have some chain in, and that's fine because that allows people to differentiate sizing. So let's put these sort of to the side here, and we'll start showing what we're planning on doing here. These little gray bicones, which I think are really pretty with this little matte stripe down the middle of them, are going to be our middle beads. Then we're going to have these tiny little peach shimmers on either side of those. And then we'll have two of the green. The large 10 millimeter jasper. Two more of the green on either side. Then we'll have the cream rondelle. The jasper here. This is the 8 millimeter jasper. And then two of the peach. Either side. And I believe, yes I do, I have some crimp tubes in here. 4 of them, 2 for each side. And then I have some spacers. Now these little flower bead caps are going to go around the jasper. And then, oh, there it is where it goes. And then these small ones will go here, 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 here. Let's see. Here, 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 here. And I think I want a couple more spacers. Just a moment. Now I'm going to, I think this goes on the other side of the green. Here, and I'm debating whether I want some between the rondelles or not. I mean the bicones or not. But let's get some of the soft flex out. We're going to work right off the spool until we get the decision made on how much we want to use here. Now I always put a bead stopper on this end so it doesn't slide right down, so I can see what it looks like as I go along. So we're going to start on one strand over here on this side. Greens. Move this up so you can see what it's looking like as we go along here. This is a pretty jasper, isn't it? This big one. I've gotten to that spot where I'm debating how I want to work. So let's put this on, and we'll put all three on, and we'll see if I like it or if I want to put some more spacer in there. You know, I think it'll be fine without the extra spacers. I sort of like that. So now it's back to the 2 green. And there is the one side all strung up. Now before we add it onto our connectors, let's see how long that is. And it is 5.5 inches long. Then we'll add the connectors, and it will probably make it about 6.5. And that's fine, because then we will add some chain and clasp, and it will make it so better. So let's put this one side onto our connector. Just put this on here. Put it through our connector and bring her back down. Now I can tell you it's very unlikely that this wire will go through the little bicone. It might, but it's doubtful. So now we want to make it the connector so that the gives a little space to move, but also we want to have it down far enough that it's just at the edge of the connector so the beads don't go underneath it. So we've got it about where we want it, and so we're going to crimp it. And I use the magical crimpers. I don't know if you've ever seen magical crimpers. If not, they look like this. They have a divot right here in the middle where you put your crimp tube in and just squish it. And see how that makes a sort of square? Then you turn it on its side, put it back in the divot, and squish again. And you continue to go around in a circle till it doesn't compress anymore. That one fell out. Just a good thing I didn't squish it, huh? Then we want to give it a tug test, and it is fine, but you see how it made it sort of a rounded little bead now? So now it looks like a bead as opposed to a... Let's see if we can get the crystal to go through. It's very unlikely, but you never can tell. Oh, it did. Excellent. Will the second crystal go through as well? Yep. So that's great. But now the little spacer doesn't, bead cap doesn't want to, so that's fine. We'll just cut it right here at the base of this crystal. So now we just let our beads fall that direction. I'll put this bead stopper back down this way, and my beads are going all over the place because I keep hitting them, but that's all right because we're got the pattern, which is the same pattern as this side, over here. So now we want to cut a bit of the wire here, cut it loose, and we're going to connect this to the other side in exactly the same way. So we'll just put our, we're working from the upper one, so we want to face this the direction that it would go and then go into the upper one. Now I gave myself a lot of wire to work with. I don't need this much, but if you have just a teeny bit, a lot of times what will happen is that it won't, it's really hard to get it to go into where you want it to be, because it's going to sit and argue with you. I don't want to go there. I need more space, or you know, you just don't have the maneuverability that you need to make it go where you want it to. So that's about in the right spot. As we can see from the other one, it's about the same size, maybe a teeny bit bigger still. So we can pull it up just a teeny bit more. And then we will crimp it. Now this is the end crimp, and you have to be careful because you've got that crystal there and you don't want to squish it accidentally. So now that you've got that in, squish, turn, and just keep turning and squishing until you have it firmly in place. And then just give it a tug test and cut loose your extra wire. Now, because you're working in close proximity here, try and make sure that you only cut the wire you want to cut. There we go. So now we have the one strand of our bracelet done. Now see, this doesn't want to go on here all the way. Let's see if we can get it to tuck it into it, shall we? There we go. That's better. So now we have one strand done. Isn't that going to be pretty? Now we need to do the second strand that will go on the other side. So again, we'll just get some wire out and work on the spool. I prefer to work on the spool rather than try to guess how much wire I need. Though frankly, this looks to be, I used the whole thing plus an inch or two extra on either side. So I could cut it about right here, which let's do that. And then we'll measure it and we'll see how long we needed. We can put our wire away because that was the last we're going to need of this wire, because we only need the 2 pieces. And we are using, don't get that on there, looks like about 10.5 inches. And that's longer than you need. I just prefer to have longer as opposed to not as much as I want. So let's put a bead stopper on one side and we'll start our pattern. And it's going to look exactly like this side. So we want these 2 peach shimmer. Bead cap. I was going to say, where'd he get off to? But he went way up here to go with the 8mm jasper, the rondelle, the spacer, two green beads, the bead cap for the 10mm jasper, oh come on. As you can see, these little bead caps have more than one hole, and it was trying to go through the wrong hole. That's not good. More green. The little spacer. You go over here. And then our 3 bicones with the peach shimmer, the gray, and the peach shimmer. Then the little spacer. And we can compare, see how it's looking. Looks exactly alike, so that's good. The 2 green. The bead cap, large jasper, bead cap, two green, nope, spacer, this cream rondelle, bead cap, jasper, bead cap, and the 2 peach shimmers. And there's our strand, and let's compare it to make sure it looks the same. It does. So the next thing we want to do is put on one of our crimp tubes, and now we're going to do the crimp on this side here. So this is a simple one. Just drop it on. This is the easiest one because you don't have to have the beads in at this time. You just have to get your wires in there about where you want them, because your beads can fall down into the other space down there. A little bit smaller. A teeny bit smaller yet. That looks pretty good, so let's get the crimp in. Again, compare and squish. Turn, squish, and continue to do your turn and squish until you have it good and tight. Tug test, it's good. I'm going to cut a little bit of this extra wire off because I'm just going to try and get our little shimmer bicones in there. And they went in relatively easily this time. Well, the first one did. And there goes the second one. So now these wires will sit like this. These come up to meet. And now we need to put in our last one. Now see, I cut myself a lot of extra wire. I really didn't need that much, but I would rather I cut extra wire than be really tight trying to get it into the other crimp, because sometimes if you don't have enough, it'll really fight doing that turn and go into the other side. So try and give yourself enough extra. I probably could have used 1 or 2 inches less, but like I say, I'd rather have too much than not enough. So let's turn these so they're sitting properly backwards, because we're going to be working from this side now, and our little guys just fell out, but that's all right. They fell right back in again. So now we want this side to be turned because we're going to be working right here in this particular spot right here. So we'll feed our wire through there, through our crimp, and at least one of our peach shimmers, 2 if you can get it to go through both. And it looked like mine went through both, so that's great. So now just pull up your wire, making sure you go back down to bump that bead cap that's below there, because otherwise you're going to discover you have a lot of extra space in there. Okay. Needs to tighten just a hair's breadth, I think. Okay. There, that looks pretty good. Okay. And we get in here. And this is going to be the most difficult one because you've got to get in around this other stuff. Okay, so let crimp, turn, and do your rounding crimps here. And tug test. Okay, now we're done with this. We got to just clip this little this extra wire off here, and if you save your wires, that's fine. You can put it away aside for something else. Okay, so there is our bracelet so far. Now we just need to put on our clasp. And what we're going to do with that is simply to put on a large jump ring on either side, hook some chain on this side, and and if you have an extender chain, that's great for putting on that side, and then just a lobster claw on this side. So let's see how long it is, pretty much. And you see how much we need there, and that's fine, but the pretty base of the wire of the bracelet's up here across your wrist. So let's get some, don't twist it, Rose. Let's get some chain and some lobster claws, and we will get that going. Okay, I was looking for an extender chain. I thought I had one in antique bronze, but I could not find one. So what we're going to do is we're going to make one. And you're probably saying, oh, well, how do you do that? Just going to take, and I actually have bronze chain. I actually thought of using the chain from the from the box, but the holes are too small, in my opinion, to make a good thing for the your lobster claw to fit into. So we're just going to sit and we're going to connect about 10 of these jump rings and make our own little chain. So not hard to do. You just open up your jump rings, stick them on here, and connect them. Make sure they're pretty well connected. This one, see, is a little loose, so we'll tighten that back up. Now when you make your own extender chain, I tend to try and find some kind of decorative piece to put on the end so that it's not just hanging out there with a piece of chain being boring. So we will find one of the beads or something to put on the end of the chain to make it a little bit of a decoration. The pre-made ones I buy have a little ball on the end of them. And I will probably make this 10 links long. That should be plenty. There are 5. Oops, this one is not closed properly. So let's get that going, fixed. So we want to look at our chain then to make sure that we've got it made good. This one could use a little bit of fixing up. As could this one. It's a little bit crooked, not too bad, but there we go. Okay, now that we've got our chain made here, we're going to connect it, and we'll see if one of these smaller ones will let it connect to the connector, or if we need the bigger one. So looks like the small one's going to work fine. So we connect this little chain we just made up to one side and tighten her up. So there's the one side of our bracelet done. Now the thing I don't like about that is that's sort of rough. Ooh, that one's not closed at all. How did I manage that one? That's better. Maybe that was the roughest spot. So you want to go down with your hands, because if your links are not quite closed all the way, they will be rough, and you can find them that way, obviously. And tighten them up some. You want those connections to come together, because that's where the roughness comes in. Still feeling something right in here. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, like I say, I will probably put something on the end of this, because this is where we're going to attach our lobster claws to close this. Come on, you. Behave. And then we're gonna get the lobster claw on the other side. We'll need one more of these little rings to do that. And then find some little decoration to put on the bottom. Whether I put it as a little bead or something like that, we'll see. So let's get our lobster claw on. Fortunately, I don't have any brass, so we're going to have to use a gold lobster claw. I like to make sure it's working before I bother to put it on, and yes, that one seems to be working really good. So we will just open this other jump ring up, put it on this end, attach our lobster claw, well, if we don't lose it, and tighten her up. Okay. And then we can just clasp this over to our chain somewhere. And then our bracelet's done, other than a little decorative piece on it. So let's find something to use as a decorative piece. In amongst my stash, I found this really cute little brass heart. And bronze, I should say. It's not brass. And we're going to put that on a pin. And then we'll wrap this puppy up. And once it's finished, it will become a dangle at the very end of our bracelet. So let's just wrap this up here. We'll cut that excess off. Tuck her in and straighten her up, because obviously this head is really crooked here. There's the straightened and there's the tuck. Okay, how's that? Oh, looks like this needs to be straightened some more. So to do that, I just put my pliers in the hole and tip it. And again. There. So then we'll put this little guy on this last, on the link, and actually I'll just put it on with a new link. So onto the bottom of the chain with you, and put our little decoration right there, and close this up. Now, if necessary, the people who buy this or wear it can use that last link too if they need more space for their bracelet, but they shouldn't, because I think it's about 7 inches now. So here is our bracelet. There's it finished. There's a little heart down here on the end. I still feel one rough space. I'm going to have to find that. But there is our bracelet. Isn't that pretty? So this can fit a variety of arm lengths. If we were to put it way up here at the top, and you could put it right there at the one. That twists a little bit. We don't want to do that. So let's put it in the second one. It's too bad that's not a swivel clasp. Anyway, let's see how long this is on the shortest one. On the shortest, it is going to be about 6.5, and then it will go up quite a bit. So I'd say at least 7.5 to 8 by the time it's at the very end. So it will fit a number of different arm lengths. Let's see what this last one would be. So the last one is about 8 inches. So it goes from 6.5 to 8 inches with our extender chain that we made. So there we go. There's our bracelet all finished. She's twisting on me a little bit. And I think that turned out really pretty. Tighten this back up again. A swivel clasp would be better, but I think I only have those in silver. But that's what she looks like. So let's turn up and we will talk for a few more moments. So anyway, there is our bracelet with our homemade extender chain. And let's see, this way. That clasp is making it turn just a touch. I don't care for that. And then there is the front. It's out of the way, dude. So there's our bracelet. Hope you like that. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden. We'll see you next time.